Hi everyone, welcome back to the Facts on JW. I'm Anthony. Today we're going to be talking about a few things pertaining to the Jehovah's Witnesses. How they use fear, obligation, and guilt to keep their members trapped inside the organization that's man-created. How each video is done that they release to further put support of their propaganda, and how they really don't have anyone's best interest at heart, only a way to get more money and to keep the members locked in to where there's no escape. This is obviously not a true religion, but a cult. It's very obvious. If you look at the bite model of what a cult actually is, which I will post somewhere in here, you will see what that actually looks like, and they check all the boxes for a cult. So let's just take a look at some of these videos that they've done. So Jehovah's Witnesses have posted several videos claiming they're not inspired or fallible, or that they are fallible, and that they're not inspired. But yet they claim that they get messages straight from Jehovah God to Jesus Christ to the governing body. Okay, so that means they are inspired. But yet they say they're not. Then they claim to be the faithful and discreet slave, and that Jesus Christ appointed them to be his spokespeople on earth. They're again saying that they are fallible, and that they're not fallible, and that they are inspired, but yet they still claim to be uninspired. You can't have things both ways. You either are inspired or you're not. You're either fallible or you're infallible. So which one is it? It's like, why would anybody listen to them if they're uninspired and fallible? Why would you listen to somebody like that? Because they're just telling you, they're just making it up as they go. But yet they claim they're not, which means they're inspired. So it's kind of double talk. It makes no sense. And then when they produce videos, they ask for money. I know a lot of the old witnesses probably remember this, and the new ones, some of the new ones, that they used to never claim to ask for money. It's like, you'll never hear us ask for money. I'd like for you to count how many videos they've produced in the past 5 years, begging, not asking, begging for money. Let just did one. Donate every month. Set it up to where it comes out of your account every month. That way it's guaranteed to go in there. And every Kingdom Hall is going to figure out how much each person needs to donate every month. So they're double talking again. They claim, we don't ask for money, but they do. Then they have a way for you to donate your property and donate your trust funds and whatever else that you may have that they can prosper off of. And so they can buy luxury homes, apartment buildings, homes for the governing body to live in at each of the Bethels. These guys are living life large, and they own property everywhere. And all these Kingdom Halls they own, this is the sad thing. Each Kingdom Hall used to belong to the congregations. The congregations agreed to sign all the properties and everything over to the branch. Now it's owned by headquarters, and they can use it, sell it, or whatever. And as we know, they've sold several Kingdom Halls, and because their membership is vacating so fast, they're trying to consolidate people into the bigger congregations to give it the illusion that they have more members than they have. But if you stop and think about it, look how many Kingdom Halls have been sold. Look how many are no longer there, and how many people have been consolidated into the Kingdom Halls that are still in existence. So, it's an illusion. Just like the conventions now. The conventions used to have multiple conventions that went on for quite a while, so everybody in a region could get together and go to them, and the conventions would be packed. I don't care when you went, the Spanish, the English, whenever it was, the many, many days, weeks, months it had, you could go in and they would be packed. Now they only had a very few. They were half, the ones at the Coliseums or big, large auditoriums that they rent were half full. They might have been a rare one where they combined a multitude of congregations, like in California there was one, but they didn't have hardly any of the number of days where they had the convention. So, or weeks rather. It was a short time. So they combined several congregations together to give it the illusion that it was large. But then they move it off into assembly halls. So, assembly hall holds 2,000 people versus 12,000. So, yeah, that's going to look like it's full when it's very small. So you can see where they're going with this, and they're pinching pennies and cutting corners because the assembly hall is already built, which does make more sense because there's the assembly hall. They already own it. They can just put multiple days or weeks in there and put more people in them. So, it's all an illusion these guys sell. They tell you to obey the governing body. They tell you to listen to them. They tell you to follow their lead, to always follow them, just like the convention. They had the video where they were showing Satan talking to Jesus, and yet they was cutting a clip back to people that were friends for life, and one had learned the truth about the truth, and the other one was still brainwashed into the cult. Well, he's going to go to the elders on this guy. I don't see the big deal, but it just shows that, oh, wait a minute. Don't look at nothing outside of Watchtower. That was the point in the video. Don't look at nothing outside of Watchtower. Follow Watchtower, obey Watchtower, and no matter what the world says outside of Watchtower, put your fingers in your ears and don't listen. That's these guys' point. They believe that you should run and hide and stick your head in a hole if somebody says something, or argue with some really weird, crazy verse taken out of context. Now, if the verse is taken within the chapter, and several verses are listed there, and you can read through and find what the verse is actually talking about, hey, I'm all for that. But you take one verse out of a multitude of verses that's in the chapter and say it means something that it does not, then isn't that false teaching? Think about that. How many times do they take a verse from a chapter and claim it means something that it don't? It's like New Light, taken from Proverbs chapter 4. Has anybody ever read that? That chapter 4 is the wise King Solomon telling his sons how to live a righteous life, and if you don't, how it goes off into darkness. It's just about a righteous life for his children, his two sons. I don't get that. It has nothing to do with you. Like, read the whole chapter. But they took the verse out of context because it fit their narrative. And that's how they word things. They love things where they can create this big story around it and create it into their doctrine as if it fits the Bible itself, but it doesn't. It fits their narrative. They're very shady people. Now, the people itself that's in the organization are sadly misled. There's good people there. I've met them. Not saying everybody is, but the majority of people that are Jehovah's Witnesses are actually good people. But the leadership of that organization are corrupted. They are evil. They're wicked. They know the truth. They have books and stuff they've read all the way back to 1879. Guys, I don't know if you're aware of this, but in 1879 all the way to 1929, they were teaching that the end of time started in 1799, Jesus took the throne in heaven, 1874, and the harvest work began, 1878, and that 1914 was supposed to be Armageddon, the end of all. Well, when it didn't come, they changed it to 1916. When that didn't come, they changed it to 1918. When that didn't come, they changed it to 1925. And when that didn't happen, they went back in 1929 and said, guess what? We've been wrong all along. Jesus came, took the throne in heaven in 1914, and he searched the whole world over, and he chose the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, the International Bible Students, as his one true organization. At the time when they had the finished mystery printed, the Harp of God was printed, Millions Now Living Would Never Die was printed, all teaching false beliefs, all teaching false predictions. We know what Deuteronomy says. Deuteronomy 18, it tells people not to follow a false teacher. Multiple chapters in the New Testament warn against it. You know, this is, there's no words to describe the lunacy. And anybody knows, if you're a young person today and you're a Jehovah's Witness, and if they think that this don't happen, this shows the delusion they're actually living in. Young people are curious and they're going to type in Jehovah's Witnesses into their phones. And the stuff that's going to come up is going to shock them. And the governing body says, oh, well, don't believe don't believe it. Wait a minute. Don't believe it when you're paying out millions in lawsuits? Don't believe it when your lawyers are lying in court and get caught doing it? Don't believe it when you claim you don't shun in the courts in Canada, when you actually do shun people? I mean, they're not stupid. They can look and see that you're lying. It's obvious. Look at all the CSA cases. It's ridiculous. Look at the lawsuit for the lady that fell on the sidewalk. I mean, it just continually goes on and on and on of all the different things that's happened within inside the Kingdom Hall. All the abuse and of multiple kinds of abuse. And then how they get cracked down on to follow the governing body and don't look outside. Because if you look outside, you're going to wake up. And that's what's happening. And people can say, well, COVID helped wake a lot of people up. And yeah, I'm sure COVID give people the opportunity to look more into things. But there's so much today proof of who the Jehovah's Witnesses truly are that it's sooner or later they're going to run into it. They're going to start a Bible study with someone who's going to do that very thing. They're going to go onto the computer or go onto their cell phone and say Jehovah's Witnesses, and there it is. You know, thousands of pages that's going to be talking about it, and Lord knows how many YouTube channels. And they're going to see, hey, look, these guys are false teachers. And then the people that's doing the Bible study have got to either first be so brainwashed into it that they don't want to believe the proof when it's in their face, or they're going to think about it and go study it for themselves. Because the Proclaimer's book, the Insight in Scriptures book, you can look at those all you want. But sooner or later, you're going to step outside. And if you read the Proclaimer's book long enough, you're going to wake up. There's some good stuff in there. But, you know, it's just a matter of time before the majority of Jehovah's Witnesses are gone, which might be that way already, because the Kingdom Hall's been in multiple Kingdom Halls. You will see that the membership's half where it was, if not less than half. That's crazy. And a couple of different states, multiple Kingdom Halls throughout this state and a few others, and it's the same. And then you see all these pictures of people going into other Kingdom Halls with the exact same thing in many, many states. Membership has fallen way off, and they know it. or at least in the United States it has. So with that happening, you know that makes them even more desperate for more money. Meanwhile, those guys that consider themselves the governing bodies are living in what, $700,000 homes, $750,000 homes. That's in poor areas. So if those areas in the Rust Belt and the Hudson Valley, which is beautiful areas, but it's just don't have the money it once had there. They're living in luxury. They don't live like the people that's serving in Bethel. They don't live like them. So they wear Rolexes and they wear their pinky rings, and they tell you to follow them. They don't live in the same reality. Look at Let. Think about this. Gulf Shores, Alabama is a very, very popular resort area that's extremely expensive. It costs more to go there than it does to go to Florida. Let has rental property there. And I'm sure it stays rented all throughout the summer, every week. And they're making serious bank on it. These people know what they're doing. Let's very wealthy. You think he's the only one, you're fooled. I think the one guy that really believed all this was Anthony Morris, and we see where he's at. And of course they had to buy him a house to stay in. But the one true believer they kicked out. It's kind of funny. Makes you stop and think. So anyway, they keep their members by fear, obligation, and guilt. They teach Armageddon. At any moment it could come. But wait a minute. You might not live to see Armageddon. That's a new teaching. Just started. We're going to do a video on some of the new teachings tonight. So we'll publish that tomorrow. But think about that. It's, forever. Armageddon could be at any moment. It's right around the corner. Now, you might not live to see Armageddon. That's a different teaching. And there's a few other ones we're really going to get into on a different video. But, they try that fear, and they try to make you think that everybody in the world is wicked and they're demonic. And, it's just like their double talk they use. Only give the truth to those whom deserve it. Now, any witness knows that if you're a witness in good standing, then they deserve the truth. Nobody else does. Only give help to those whom deserve it. So you only help another Jehovah's Witness. See, that's another thing. The governing body and the branch or the headquarters doesn't help anyone. They ask their membership to take up donations to go help out of their pockets, not out of the coffers from the Watchtower. That don't happen. That's just like them getting caught sending all those buckets of stuff over to Haiti back some time ago that was from the Red Cross. And then they tried to take credit for it. Just like when the food donations was given out during COVID, they tried to take credit for it. It was coming from the government. It's just, they don't do nothing. They never have, they never will. They are a large investment realty company. They are there just to take your money, to manipulate you, and keep you in fear, obligation, and guilt to that organization, and to hold your family hostage so you'll never leave. Because if you try to leave, they'll make it to where your family, your friends, will never speak to you again until you return back to Jehovah. Now you show me where that's Christian love. Yeah. Oh, they can take the verse out of Paul, but have they ever really read that in Corinthians? Really read what Paul was saying? There again, they take verses and cherry pick them, but read the whole thing. I don't think Paul was talking about shunning these people. Oh, don't even eat with these people. Yeah, well, it's a Jewish thing, but it's still, they interacted with the people. They still talked to them. They just didn't make them their best friends. They just didn't hang out with them, but they still communicated with them and still tried to get them to come back to follow Christ. That was the point. Follow Christ. Not to be mean and awful and, ostracize you, just not to bring the bad behavior those people were doing into your home or into your group of religious sect. Other than that, could you communicate? Yes. Could you be friends? Yes. But did you want to go out and hang out if they were doing bad things? No, because that's just common sense. If somebody's doing something bad and you don't follow them. But you don't treat them mean. You don't ostracize them. You try to talk to them and bring them into a loving kindness of God's favor. But anyway, that's their way to manipulate people and bring them into their little group and keeping the membership at bay. And then, how they used to teach, if you were disfellowshipped and Armageddon came, you would not go to paradise earth. And this is another thing I never got. They would talk about, and you got to remember, I never was a witness. I studied with the witnesses for quite a while. Never was. But here's the thing that they taught. If you're not a Jehovah's Witness and you die, you cease to exist. Okay. If a wicked person dies, they cease to exist. If anybody dies that's not one of them in good standing, they cease to exist. Where is the punishment in that? I want to know. If I'm wrong in what I believe, and the worst thing that happens to me is I cease to exist. Wow. I won't know nothing about it. It's just like, it's crazy. If I cease to exist, I will know nothing about it. There's no punishment in it. There's not paying for my sins. There's just cease to exist. Yeah, that's insane teaching. That's strictly their teaching. You won't find that scripturally. But they'll create a verse or two they'll find some cherry-picked verse that makes it appear that what they're saying is true. But by the time you read where the verse come from, chapter it's in, you find out it doesn't match with what reality is. Jehovah's Witnesses, the organization, not the people, they're losing their grip and they're losing touch with the reality of modern times. And they're trying to make up for it with better videos, Ramapo Project, trying to get a little bit more lenient on their rules. And think about if you're my age or in your late 30s, think about what your mom and dad saw and what the witnesses are today. It's like an alien planet for them now. And think about what it's going to be like in the next 2 or 3 years. And they know if they don't change, those small numbers in those kingdom halls now are going to be way smaller. And they know it. And that's what all this is about. Those small numbers that's there now are going to shrink even further. If they shrink much more, they're going to have to close half the kingdom halls down they got now. So think about that. If those numbers shrink even further, they'll have to close most of them down. And then it's really going to look like egg on their face. So what they've got to do is change their rules to try to make it more appealing to modern times. And with a twist, they're still going to have certain things. They're still going to have their blood doctrine. They're still going to have their shunning policy. But it's going to, they're still going to believe in 1914, which they can't give that one up because then it's no longer Jehovah's Witnesses when they do that. Even though they know that 607 is not true, they're not going to give that up. And all these things I'm telling you, this is all, you can go research it and find it. jw.org, anywhere on the internet. It's anywhere. But anyway, guys, that's enough of my rant and my rave today. Get out from under that fear, obligation, and guilt. Don't let the governing body dictate to you what you can do. Use your critical thinking skills. And is that rebellious? Well, you know what? It's not rebellious, it's wisdom. Use your mind. Remember the Bereans, they were really loved in the Bible. And the reason why is because they researched everything. They went above and beyond researching. They didn't just follow blindly. You know, when they researched everything, really read that and you'll see they researched all of the scriptures. They researched things that were not in the scriptures. They wanted to make sure when they followed, they were following truly. So do that. Research. Research outside of the org. Because if you research inside something that's teaching false teachings, then you're just going to research more false teachings. And then you're going to copy and paste and post somewhere else and spread the false teachings that just look ridiculous and argue them as if it's not. But then it just makes everybody look foolish. But anyway, enough, guys. Please research. Open your eyes. Look at this organization for what it is. And use your critical thinking skills. And there's many, many channels out there that, very good channels, that really emphasize this. And I would suggest going and look at them. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please hit the like button if you like this. Subscribe. Ring the bell. And if it was really good, get us a cup of coffee. So rather than bore you with posting videos and little articles, I just figured I was going to talk today. So much love, peace. We'll see you guys every Saturday at 4 Eastern, United States time, Eastern. And maybe some Sundays at 4 as well. And we'll see you guys later. Much love. Remember, love everybody around you.